Welcome to Fieldsports Britain. Coming up, Californian hound dogs. I'm hunting bear in the mountains of the Sierra Nevada. Top shooting equipment. I'm at the SHOT Show in Las Vegas. But first, I'm going rabbiting in a Rolls Royce. Now, we've been fortunate enough to play with some interesting shooting vehicles in our time, from Tim Pilbeam's freak of engineering to Ferraris. Today we're in Texas, where they take it to a whole different level. Allow me to introduce you to the Rolls Royce Silver Spur shooting vehicle. Looking like it's been taken off the set of Thunderbirds, this exquisite British-made machine is owned by Fausto and Sandra Yturria.
That sand, so there's some areas in the ranch that we can't take this vehicle.
Fausto is proud of this vehicle and proud that his father-in-law strove to own something as exclusive as a Rolls.
He loved this car. Every time he got in this car, it was nothing but teeth. He had a big smile every time he drove the car. He had finally arrived in the business world.
However, after its transformation into a shooting vehicle, Fausto assumed the Brits would appreciate the new look.
So I walked in, and this guy came over with his nose in the air and said, "May I help you, sir?" And I said, "Yes." I said, "I've got a Texas Rolls Royce hunting car, and I want to show you these photographs. What do you think of it?" And he kind of turned his nose up in the air and walked away. We were highly insulted, you know, knowing that we could have bought the Rolls Royces that were on that car floor that day. Really made me mad.
A lovely car, makes me feel like Boise. All right, Marlene. Early the next morning, I get a chance to try it out for myself. This is it, the big moment. Let's go and find rabbits and coyotes in a roller. Once on the move, the Silver Spur purrs along beautifully. One thing we have found is the engine, if you turn it off, you know, start again. So we're going to be fox shooting on the move, I think, tonight. It doesn't take long to find our first rabbit. This is not a cottontail, but a jack rabbit. After following it in the lamp, I get my chance. Well, this is a considerably larger rabbit than I'm used to. In fact, it's more like a hare size. I think this is what we call a jack. If you have the means, I highly recommend a Rolls Royce for rabbiting. The second rabbit is a few hundred yards further on. This carriage provides a steady old platform to shoot from, no jiggly diesel vibration. We risk the rolls over the rough stuff and bingo, we get onto another rabbit. The first shot parts its ears, the second is true. Well, with a superb piece of engineering from Crewe, Cheshire, we've had 3 rabbits in the bag. It's been a real privilege, actually. Dawn breaks and I find myself in a ranch that's dedicated to wild animals as well as cattle. There are plenty of them. Here's a Native American white-tailed deer looking at all the exotic antelope and thinking to itself, there goes the neighbourhood. Many ranches in South Texas have become a sanctuary for exotic game as well as exotic motors.
That is not a hunting vehicle. We use this when we're having skeet shoots,
right,
to transport the beautiful women.
The beautiful women, okay. That is a plastic horse.
That is a plastic horse. We don't spend any money on feed for him.
Right.
But I bought him to display saddles.
Okay. Now, these two, this looks like where you're getting serious.
These are actually both, they were referred to when they were sold in the United States as the Volkswagen Thane. That was called the Thane. Right. In Mexico, they were called the Safari. And these are by Volkswagen. and we customized them. We took the top off, we put gun boxes on them, and we used this for quail hunting. And this was mine. This was a 1973 model, and I had to buy one for Sandra. This was a 74 model.
It's a very unusual piece of
and we've put a lot of miles on these hunting quail here in South Texas behind bird dogs.
Are we in some kind of toy box here?
Well, you know, every little boy has a toy box. I've got a toy garage.
I still feel there's something missing though. You get really big downpours here, don't you?
Yeah, we do. Not like we used to, but we used to really get flooded out, especially when we had a hurricane. You had to have a vehicle to get you around the ranch after a hurricane because you'd get 15, 20 inches of rain.
Have you got anything like that?
Have I? Follow me out here. Of the 1,000 Hummers, this is 126. Now, I couldn't get number one. That was taken by Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, he's got to have number one, right? But I've had a lot of offers for this car just because it's got that stupid number of 126 on it. But it was 126 vehicle manufactured for the public. And I've never had a problem with it. It's obviously built to military specifications. We've never had a problem with it. We have modified it in the back. We can take more people, have picnic baskets and so forth. But I really think that when I bought this in 1991, I think that's when it quit raining. And it hadn't rained since.
All this hardware adds up to a serious side on this 11,000-acre ranch. Like many landowners locally, Fausto and Sandra are going to extraordinary lengths to provide a kind of international wildlife seed bank. These are nilgai antelope, and there are now more of them in Kennedy County, Texas than there are in their native India. These are scimitar oryx. Fausto's cousin, Danny Butler, has the next door ranch. He sees himself as a forward thinker. The oil that part powers and pays for his collection of Ferraris he believes will ultimately dry up. So he's investing in providing sport and an animal resource.
We can pretty much 80% duplicate Africa except for the smell of the Mopani smoke. We have mesquite smoke. It's obvious that Africa's becoming more unstable, and it is becoming very expensive for the average American to hunt over there. So I thought, well, you know, at some point, the oil and gas on our properties, what we're fortunate to have, is going to run out. We need to have something else in place of it. So in 1985, I started bringing in the African exotics with the idea of turning this into like a small African landscape.
These ranchers have created something similar to the African safari experience here in America. We go out for a game drive in a more traditional South Texas hunting vehicle, a GMC gun bus with a throbbing 6-litre V8 engine. The animals are here in abundance, and there is a management side to this drive too. Fausto wants at least one of the white-tailed bucks thinned out. Fausto and his friends are all members of a top hunting club. Started in the 1950s by a group of international hunters who wanted to swap ideas about where to go, it has grown into an association of sportsmen and sportswomen with a strong sense of social responsibility.
Most people, you know, think elephants are extinct. They're not. There are huge numbers of elephants in Africa. Some estimated 200,000 or better were in northern Botswana, and they would not migrate into Angola or into Zambia simply because of landmines. Dr. John Hanks of Botswana had a method of using dogs to find landmines, just as the dogs have learned to find drugs. And they would locate the landmines. Dr. Hanks' people would go out and explode or remove those mines, and now we're having elephants migrate back into the areas where they normally did.
But this must have been incredibly costly.
Well, we put about $250,000 into it, maybe a little more, and so that's all beginning to get solved.
What sort of pot fund do you have now to deploy?
We estimate that our funds are up to around $9 million. We spend all of that on wildlife management somewhere in the world.
Meanwhile, Texas is evolving into a mini Africa. What more could you want from a safari? We've seen 2 species of antelope. We've seen bushbuck and American species like white-tailed deer and peccary. And it's sundown. And what do you get at sundown? Sundowners. These Texans are a crazy gang, all out to have a good time, all dedicated to saving animals worldwide as well as hunting them. Take Born Free, pop in the gadget show and a bit of spaghetti western and you get the picture. Oh, and don't forget Top Gear. And now over to David on the Fieldsports channel, Noose Stump.
This is Fieldsports Britain News. SHOT Show organiser, the National Shooting Sports Foundation, used the show to put up a spirited defence of firearms. The NSSF is based in Newtown, Connecticut, which is also where the school shooting took place in December.
Violent criminals who violate the law have no right to keep and bear arms, and they belong in jail.
Following attacks on hunt supporters by antis in Derbyshire, the Countryside Alliance has reminded police to ask people to remove masks at hunt meets. One man and his 12-year-old daughter Connie were surrounded by 10 masked people at a meet of the Badsworth and Bramham Moor. He suffered a broken nose and cheekbone, 3 fractures to his skull, and has lost 90% of his hearing in his right ear. Police have arrested 8 people. The RSPCA is prosecuting a 74-year-old man for not killing a grey squirrel quickly enough. Bill Worthington admitted causing unnecessary suffering to a squirrel when he shot it 5 times. After the hearing, he said that he thought the squirrel was dead, but it survived and was later put down by a vet. 2 boosts for hunting and shooting in Northern Ireland. An all-party group on country sports has been set up in the Northern Ireland Assembly. Run by BAST, the group will provide a forum for politicians to discuss issues affecting country sports and the contribution they make to conservation and rural life. Meanwhile, the Ulster Farmers Union has agreed to cooperate with the Countryside Alliance Ireland and the Northern Ireland Master of Hounds Association for the good of country sports and the rural way of life in the province. And finally, TV presenter Kat Kuby has found herself a new line of work after she launched the new salmon season on the River Tay. The Euro Millions presenter was given the honour of making the first cast of the year in the ceremony at Dunkeld, Perthshire. Around 100 people were led by a piper to the river where they enjoyed a dram and fish-shaped shortbread. The rowing boats were doused with whisky to wish their passengers well for the coming season, and Kat poured a dram into the river to keep the salmon in good health. You are now up to date with Fieldsports Britain News. Stalking the stories, fishing for facts.
Thank you, David, you old news hound you. Now, back here in America, I love hound work, and imagine my delight when Jason Bruce said he'd take me on a bear hunt. When we go down to the woods today, we're in for a big surprise, we hope. We're going bear hunting. One of the best chances of seeing a bear is with a pack of hounds. Our tame American hunting celeb and new best friend Jason Bruce becomes the wild man of the woods. He is passionate about hunting with hounds. Raccoons, mountain lions, bobcats are all fair game. However, just like in the UK, the laws are changing and this is probably the last film ever to be made of this kind. From January 2013, bear hunting with hounds is banned in the state of California.
Bear hunting hasn't been banned, it's the hound hunting that's banned for bear and bobcat. We'll still be able to be in the woods with fox and raccoons, but the fun stuff is gone.
What was the reason for that? Why did they...
I have no clue what the reason is. It's just somebody, it's the anti-hunters and the anti, the Humane Society, stuff like that. They think they know what's best for us.
They're going to lose a lot of money because you're not going to buy tags next year if you can't go hunting.
Absolutely, I'm not going to buy tags at all. I know of many, many houndsmen that are not going to buy bear tags anymore. I know a lot of them, they're not even going to buy hunting license anymore. They're just not going to hunt in this state because the state of California didn't support us, they didn't protect us. And yeah, there's lots, you know how hunting is all over the world. There's revenue lost when hunting's lost. And it's a big loss for the animal.
Bear hunting is not everyone's cup of root beer, but don't knock it till you try it. It's a big part of the culture across Europe and the rest of the world. And it's a working man's sport. The corn and the Pytchley, this ain't. Jason and his friend Mike have driven us up high into the Sierra Nevada mountains. Mike is a true hound man, the kind you would recognise from your own country if hunting with hounds is allowed. Before we clamber our way through into the wilder parts of this wilderness, the dogs have a comfort break and are sat on top of their transport box. It's kind of like putting your periscope up on a submarine, turning on the radar and the GPS. We're obviously onto something now.
Yeah, well, when they strike, you know, this is obvious that there's something here. You know, so we look through the snow or in the mud somewhere and try to find a good tracks and you know, start putting dogs on it and see what happens.
The drive up and over into the valley is fun. The snowfall has been pretty light. Usually at this time of year this pace would be off limits. I must confess I do have a thing for seeing hounds work, and the old ticker fires up when the hounds catch the whiff of cat. Big cat. Okay, well, we've got two mountain lion here, walking side by side, probably last night, heading in that direction. We're not shooting mountain lion today, but might be fun just to go and see where they went. So the good news is there are lions very close by. The bad news is that in the state of California we can't hunt them. Just a few miles away across the border into the state of Nevada, these dogs would be long gone, and with the government's blessing. What's the difference between hunting a cat and, say, a bear?
The bear, during the bear season, early on in the season, he can run far. He has a high endurance level, and later on in the season, he starts feeding himself, and they start gaining their fat, and they get, you know, building up energy for the winter, and they won't run as far. And then the lion you can run far. I've seen them run a little bit of a distance, but not a huge distance. They don't have a huge lung capacity, and they don't have huge endurance. So they'll pop up a tree, rest, maybe do some fighting, you know, growling back, stuff like that. And a lot of times they'll jump to another tree to try to distract the dogs, and then jump out of that tree and then leave.
After another drive, the hounds once again erupt, and this time it's bear. Mike keeps tabs on his charges with a GPS. They cover huge distances, crisscrossing each other, doubling back, all trying to feather onto that hot trail.
We got 3 dogs that are about 400 yards, and one dog that kind of took off running down the road or something, but he's making his way back. He's out about 700 yards.
We know they've gone across to the next valley. We drive one way and Jason the other. He hasn't got the GPS to rely on, just the hope he'll hear the hounds speaking.
We just actually located the dogs. We could hear them up on the other side of the canyon. They've came down, crossed the creek, and are still moving. So we're going to get around the creek and see if we can find them and see what they're after.
Their note echoes around the forest, and finally we catch up with them. What's going on down there?
It doesn't really sound like they're treed. It sounds like they're bait up on the ground, and Mike's going to carry another gun with him, just so if something bad's happened, the most important thing is to get the dogs out of there. If the dogs are getting, if the dogs are getting eaten or something, we've got to get the bear shot, and without shooting any dogs. So that's why he's the dog handler. They're his dogs, so they're the priority.
And I'm a priority as well, aren't I?
Yeah.
Me and the dogs.
Yeah.
Good.
Right.
As long as we've got that clear.
Okay.
We charge as quickly as possible down to the sound. I just don't know what to expect. It sounds like one of the dogs is in pain and Mike is worried the bear has it. In actual fact, the dogs are fighting amongst themselves, and in the confusion, the big black bear shows a clean pair of paws and runs away. The bear wasn't held up in a tree, but at its base. What a rush! But also a shame not to get close to this amazing predator, especially when it's a big one. Very disappointing, but that's hunting. With all true hunting, management is key, and Jason tells me about a hunt last year where they caught up with some young which were left alone. You've got footage of what happens next, so talk me through it. What should we have seen?
Well, if the bear would have went up a tree, we would have got, we would have heard them barking. We would have got to the tree. The dogs would have been barking like crazy. We look up the tree and find the bear. When they get on a really hot track and you hear them echoing down through the canyon, that's really that's the whole sport of hound hunting. It's not about the kill.
One by one, we track and pick up the hounds. These dogs only know one thing, and that is how to hunt. Some have been known to stay on the trail of a bear for days. One of the older bitches, Lady, is unaccounted for, and the GPS is not getting a reading. We split up, and for the next 2 hours we scour the hunting area. Mike is desperate to find her. She would have no problem surviving up here for a few days. Mike and Jason recovered one after 2 weeks earlier in the season. It had been living off a bear carcass. To improve our signal range, Mike wants height, and that requires more than this old Toyota's four-wheel drive deep tread. Out with the winch. Now, I've seen some off-roading in my time, but this effort is exceptional. Tree by tree, we clamber up the hill. It's no good. With heavy hearts, we have to leave the Sierra Nevada without 11-year-old Lady. The following morning, we get a call from Jason saying that Mike had gone to the last spot where Lady's collar had transmitted a reading. It's bad news. He finds her dead. The bear had killed her. What can you say? Farewell, good friend? This was to be Lady's last season. It's California's last bear hunt with hounds. And it sounds like she was giving that bear what for, right to the end. Well, tragedy there in the mountains of California. Now, for a more upbeat story, let's reach for the stars and go to Las Vegas. There's a star system in America. Jason's one of the big stars. This is the biggest. Yes, because it's something we don't really have in the UK is this idea of hunting TV stars or this whole thing. So how does the American situation work?
Well, I mean, out here we've got literally 3 networks that are dedicated to hunting. You know, and if you look at the networks that are out there in the universe of television networks, there's no animal rights networks. You know, the hunting world is alive and well. So hopefully over in the UK that you guys will start to pick up the same feeling and the same sense and to appreciate those traditions that are, you know, so deeply rooted inside all of us, including everyone from over in the UK.
Now, one thing that the SHOT Show does supply in large numbers is YouTube channels. In my continuing quest to find the right kit for my new sport of bear hunting, I'm here with Greg Quinn. Greg runs GunBlastDotCom, the world's largest online gun testing site. Is that right?
That is correct. Okay.
So you test every kind of gun there is? We
test every gun there is. If the manufacturer makes it and they send it to us, we test it. We put up honest reviews. We're not biased by advertisers or anything like that. We started in year 2000. So we're celebrating 12 years of truth and reporting in the gun industry.
Now you brought me to the Savage stand. Why is that?
Right. I brought you to the Savage site because you indicated that you had an interest in bear hunting.
I do.
Okay. And Savage actually makes a very nice rifle called the Bear Hunter. Okay. This Bear Hunter rifle is very nice. It's designed specifically for people that do bear hunting. It's got a very nice balance and feel to it. It's heavy enough where it won't kick the heck out of you when you pull the trigger. And speaking of trigger, Savage actually has one of the best triggers on the market. It's called AccuTrigger. They were the ones that invented this trigger with a little extra trigger right here. And every trigger pull is a very crisp, clean release every time. And so that's really what makes the Savage rifle different than any other rifle on the market.
Full review of that and other rifles on GunBlast.com.
Absolutely. Full review of this and other rifles just like it. Handguns, ammo, holsters, anything in the gun industry, GunBlast.com.
Cheers, Greg. Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
That's the guns sorted out, but what about ammo? Well, we're not the only Brits abroad for the SHOT Show. Another YouTube star from the British channel, The Shooting Show, Peter Carr, has brought me to the Gecko ammunition stand to talk about the kinds of bullets I need for bear. Pete, what have we got here?
Well, it's a 9.3x74, the Gecko Plus. I use a 300 Win Mag, but you asked me the question out of the show, what would you pick to go on a bear hunt? Definitely the Gecko Plus in 300 Win Mag, 170 grade. Fantastic round, brilliant ammunition, finding a lot of favour in the UK and across the Atlantic in the States. I've used it on boar and on bear. Absolutely top-notch stuff.
You have used it on bear then?
Yes.
Tell me about your bear hunting.
Very exciting. 400-pound spring black bear on the eastern seaboard of Canada. Fantastic hunt. Actually got flattened by the bear the first night. So foolishly I lent the rifle to a client of mine. The second night I took my own rifle and then the job was done. It was a fantastic hunt.
You just threw away that line, I got flattened by the bear. Can you just expand on that a little bit?
Do I have to? I missed. And the bear turned around and ran into the hide. It was a floor hide, so just a bit of brash around, that was it. And I was on a camp chair, and the bear just blindly ran up the tree line and straight into the hide and over the top of me. And I was just cycling around as it capsized, and it wasn't pretty.
But this is the round of choice for a situation like that, or better still, the day after when you got it.
Absolutely. The next day I went, used the Gecko, did the business, perfect.
This SHOT Show will be remembered for the fight back against President Obama's attempts to ban guns. Someone who's leading the charge for young American women is Destiny. Her passion for handguns has made her a YouTube star.
Hi.
What is going on with handguns at the moment?
Well, we've got recently in the United States, we've had a few tragedies that have brought to light firearms ownership and whether or not it's appropriate in the current climate. And considering that my YouTube channel is very firearms based, and there's a wide base of individuals who feel that yes, they should have the right to keep and bear arms and protect that Second Amendment right. And some people feel that it's an antiquated concept that we should have these firearms to be able to protect ourselves because we're not currently under, tyrannical states. And there are some who feel that, well, Second Amendment protects muskets and the modern firearms of today are not muskets.
Now, you have brought us to the Ruger stand because they're an American company that has launched an awful lot of handguns this year. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, I was fairly surprised that there were so many new products. They have some of their products, such as the LCR is a small revolver that they've already have in production, but they released it for new caliber, 22 Magnum, so that's fun to shoot. They released
This young lady clearly knows her stuff, but it's lost on me. Keeps smiling and nodding.
So it makes it more enjoyable to shoot.
Back on my quest to find out about bears, and the next thing I want to find out is what sort of hunting is on offer. Our new friend from Denmark, Max Hunt, is also at SHOT, and he's had some very different experiences across the world.
Well, yeah, I tried to hunt in Europe, where I sit in a tree stand. Actually, it was a small cabin. It was Ceausescu's old cabin, and there was a dead horse lying in front of us, and we were waiting for the bears to come in. And actually, but afterwards we found out there was even chocolate, so they bait them quite heavily. And inside there was a weight telling us how much the bear did weigh. I don't think that's the kind of hunting I'm looking for anymore. I experienced that and I got my European brown bear, but going out to the wilderness and going out there, walking on the beaches, sailing in the fjords and being in the nature is the kind of hunt I'm looking for. And that's actually what I experienced up there. Where I hunted in Alaska, it was on Hinchbrook Island. It's an island outside of the coast. And there hasn't been anybody hunting there, but it became overpopulated there. So they allowed us to shoot a certain number of bears. When that's taken, it stops again.
It's been a SHOT show to remember. There is more coverage in our programme last week. If you're watching this on YouTube, click on the link on the screen to see that. Next, Hunting YouTube is devoted this week to everyone else's review of SHOT Show 2013. Normally, Hunting YouTube aims to show the best hunting, shooting and fishing videos that YouTube has to offer. However, this week we're devoting the item to other YouTube channels' reviews of the 2013 SHOT Show. Don't expect anything sporting in this collection of videos. The first one, from our friends at GunBlastDotCom, features some of those knobbly black pistol grippy semi-autos that gives Obama the heebie-jeebies. This dangerous-looking dude, one of GunBlast.com's top reviewers, is trying out a variety of firearms at the SHOT Show Media Day, which is held at a rifle range in the desert outside Las Vegas, a day before the main convention begins. After going through that, any sensible television viewer will be looking for balance. Well, look no further than Mix Flip, who is trying out similar guns but has considerably less facial hair. There are lots of attractions at this rifle range, and one of them is tomahawk throwing. In Tomahawk Fail SHOT Show 2013 Media Day at The Range, Funker Tactical tries to throw an Indian, which is European jargon for Native American, axe at a target. He gets points for trying, but it takes a professional to do it properly. Now to the SHOT Show proper, and let's start with a film by our new friend Destiny from the FateOfDestinee channel. She's talking to one of our favourites from the American gun industry, Angela Barrett, a member of the Barrett family that is behind the sniper rifle company of the same name. Melissa Bachman was a big shot star with her own hunting TV show on National Geographic Channel in the USA, but the Antis successfully forced her out, to National Geographic's lasting shame. She is now sensibly working on a channel, North American Hunting, in the world of YouTube, and although this film is a bit of a puff for ladies hunting clothing, I for one would like to give her a warm welcome. Here's another star at the SHOT Show. It's singer and gunslinger Ted Nugent. He is on Guns.com talking NRA, NY, Obama and Piers Morgan. Not the biggest beard at the show, but he does have strong views. For a British take on this Liberals nightmare event, have a look at the Shooting Show this week. Pete Carr picks out a few of his favourite items from the booths. We end with a charming but absolutely pointless film from Beretta Community. It's time-lapse of the Beretta stand. around. You can click on any of these films to watch them, and I urge you to look at the channels behind them as well. Most of them have lots more reviews from SHOT Show 2013, so happy surfing. The hunting YouTube team will resume normal service next week, so if you have a YouTube film about hunting, shooting and fishing you would like us to pop into the weekly top 8, send it in via YouTube or email me the link charlie@fieldsportschannel.tv. Now on to another good film out on YouTube. From 7:30 p.m. on the 2nd and 4th Tuesday of the month, you can watch Schools Challenge TV. In the episode just out, we find out about CPSA registered shoots, how to get on them, and what you need to do them.
Well, you're always a bit nervous, but and again, like more excited. So I think the excitement just overcomes the nerves really when you get onto the stand.
Click on the link on the screen to watch the whole film. Well, we're back next week when we'll be home in Great Britain. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't hesitate to hit the subscribe button that's somewhere around the outside of the screen there, or go to our webpage, fieldsportschannel.tv, where you can click to like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter, or scroll down to the bottom of the page and pop your email address into the constant contact form, and we'll email you about our programme, which is at 7 p.m. Wednesdays UK time. This has been Fieldsports Britain. Now, bear with me, because this is the bit I've been really looking forward to. Count to 5, stick it in drive, and go.